In this video, you're gonna learn exactly what a cold email is, how it works, and how you can use it to generate meetings with your dream clients. What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick Dang here. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's dive in. Now, getting straight into it, the definition of a cold email that we're gonna use for this video is sending an email to a person with no prior contact, with intentions to start a business relationship. Now, to unpack that a little bit, that's essentially where either you're a sales or business development person, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and there might be a company out there that you want to work with. They may have no idea who you are, they never seen your website, they never seen any of your marketing, and you're basically sending them an email. And the reason why the email is cold is because they never heard of you. So you're sending an email and you're just asking them politely whether or not they want to work with you or have a meeting with you so you can start some type of conversation. And usually they're not gonna buy from you, just from that first email or from one meeting. There has to be a sales process because they need to trust you because this is the first time they're ever hearing from you. But essentially the cold email, the only goal is to start that business relationship and open the opportunity for you guys or girls to get on a meeting or get on the phone to talk to each other to see whether or not you can work together. Now, to further explain how cold emailing works, I'm gonna go through an example. Now, Lever over here is a software company and they're a recruiting software company helping other companies run their recruiting backend. So, some of their customers are Atlassian, KPMG, Netflix, and Shopify. So to kind of give you an idea of what that is, if you go on the Shopify careers page, right? Like shopify.com careers, and let's say you want to search for jobs, you're gonna get to this page, right? And when you click on a job, let's say you want to be the transportation network planner, all right. So now you're gonna get the information about the role and things like that. And when you want to apply now, what's gonna happen is it's gonna say on the URL, jobs.lever.co. And you would apply, putting in all your information using the Lever software, right? So Shopify is a customer of Lever and they use it to run their backend. So whenever they wanna hire people, they're gonna use Lever and they're gonna pay a monthly fee to make that all happen. So if I was, let's say, a business development person or a salesperson working at Lever and my job was to generate meetings with potential customers, well, I would say, okay, Shopify is a customer. I need to find all the companies similar to Shopify, like technology platforms. And I would say, hey, we're Lever, this is what we do. Some of our customers include Shopify. Let me know if you want to have a conversation to see whether or not we can work together, right? So I would basically write an email, in a specific way that's not selling anything, but I would just pique their curiosity, show how I provide value, and then have a call to action, which is, hey, if you wanna talk, schedule a time to talk on my calendar. And if they're interested, they would schedule a time to talk on my calendar. I would get on the phone and then we have a conversation on, if it makes sense to work together. So the whole process to make that happen and reaching out to these companies that don't know who you are, but may have a need to buy your products and services, well, cold emailing is one of the most effective ways to do it because it's essentially almost free to send a cold email to anybody. So now that you understand how cold emailing works, well, the next question is, does it even work in today's market? Are people actually responding to cold emails? Are high-level decision makers going to respond to a nobody? Great question. Now, studies have found that there are 3 billion people currently using email today. And there's about 7 or 8 billion people in the world, so almost half of the world is using email. And they also found that 58% of adults check their email the first thing they do when they wake up. And to be honest, before I filmed this video, the first thing I did when I woke up was check my email as well. And the average person also spends 4 hours a week checking their email, writing emails, reading their emails, opening, reading, and responding to emails. So think about this. In your personal everyday life, how often are you checking your email per day? Is it once per day, twice? Some people, they check it 5 or more times a day because they use it as a communication tool. So of course, with all the different social media that's available right now, people are still checking their emails almost every single day. So obviously, people do check their emails. If you send someone a cold email, they are going to what? Read it. But the next question would be, why would decision makers respond to a cold email? Especially if they're, let's say, a Fortune 1,000 company, why would they respond to you if they have never heard of you before? Now here's the thing, when I used to work at a startup, not many people knew who we were, but I would just send out emails, literally thousands of emails to a lot of different companies, and I would get lots of meetings using this strategy, even if they had no idea who I was. And the reason is because high-level decision makers are always looking for ways to increase revenue, save on costs, save on time, and overall make their business better, right? That's essentially an executive's job. So if you identified a problem that a certain industry or market has, and you have a brilliant solution to make those problems go away, well, even if people don't know who you are, if it's very logical and it makes sense and timely and relevant for that executive working at a big company, well, they're willing to take 15 minutes out of their day to learn a little bit more about what you do and how you can help. That's essentially their job, right? You're actually just making it easier because you found them, they didn't have to find you, assuming your product and service is good. Now, if your product and service is not good at all, well, cold email is not really gonna work for you because nobody should be even buying whatever it is you offer, right? Because it's not good. But if you actually provide something that is helpful, provides value, solves real problems, well, cold email has a very high likelihood of working for you if that works in your industry. Like for example, let's say you're selling marketing services, right? You do like YouTube ads and Facebook ads and things like that, right? And you target companies who are doing $1 million in revenue per year. Now, if you know that if someone's not running any ads on, let's say to their website, on Facebook and Google and things like that, and they were making $1 million a year already, let's say you know that for your skill set and what you can do, you can get them to 1.5 million in revenue per year. Now, if you're charging, let's say, I don't know, $20,000 or $50,000 for your services per year, and you're making them an extra 500,000, right? Well, that's a 10x return on investment. So would someone be willing to invest in you and your services if you can promise that you generate $500,000 in revenue? Yes, because it's free money, right? So if you can position yourself in like these no-brainer situations and you can actually do the work and you can prove that you got results in the past, it's much easier for you to actually get those meetings with a cold email, right? So again, people are always looking ways to increase revenue, save time, save costs. You kind of hit those kind of things and you address their specific pains, cold email, highly likely to work. So now we're gonna dive into how cold email essentially works. So let's say you identify your ideal customers, they have a problem, you can solve it, and you send out 100 emails to 100 different companies, right? Maybe 60% of the people will actually open the email, right? That's predicated on how good the subject line is and how relevant it is to them. So 60 out of 100, not bad, actually open the email and read what's inside. And you might find that, hey, 18% of the 100 might actually respond. Some people might say, tell me more information. Other people might say, cool, let's book a call and learn a little bit more about each other, right? So it really depends, but people have questions or they might want to move forward right there. From those replies, maybe you might get 5 to 6 meetings, right? And that's pretty typical where if you get like a 5% meeting rate out of 100, that's pretty good actually compared to industry standards. And from those 5 meetings or 6 meetings, maybe you get around 2 sales. So 2 people out of 100 people bought your product and service. Now, if you're doing B2B sales and you're selling something that let's say costs $10,000, $20,000, well, from those 100 people, you might have just made $20,000 to $40,000, right? So now it's really worth it for a salesperson to find these prospects, send them a cold email, follow up, schedule meetings, get on the phone, try to sell, because in the end, if you're making a lot more money than you spent actually generating that meeting, well, it's worth it, right? And so that's why salespeople exist, because cold email is one of the most cost-effective and quick ways to get in front of your dream clients. And if you're able to get your marketing position right, meaning basically just your messaging on that cold email, you're gonna be able to get those meetings, get on the phone, and close deals. Now, next question people might have is, how does cold email compare to cold calling? Now, I'm gonna caveat this by saying that every industry is different. So you wanna make sure that in your industry, you understand how your competitors are generating leads, whether it's cold calling, cold emailing, sometimes it's a combination of both. But one of the advantages of cold emailing versus cold calling is that cold emailing is actually a lot more scalable, because if you think about it, when you're cold calling, and I'm not talking down on cold calling, it does work in different industries, right? And it can be very profitable. But when you are cold calling, you have to individually, as a salesperson, call each person one by one. A lot of people don't pick up the phone. Sometimes you gotta leave a voicemail. Sometimes you do get the right person, but it's a lot of a manual process and you can only do it one at a time. And that doesn't say it doesn't work. If you get one sale every day and your sale is worth like $20,000, well, that works pretty well. But Cold emailing, personally for me is a lot more scalable and easier because all you gotta do is find the companies on LinkedIn or whatever, database you wanna use, and then you would schedule your emails and you send basically the same email to everybody who experiences the same pain. And then, from those 100 people, some people will take meetings, and you're really only getting on the phone with people who already raised their hand and said, I'm somewhat interested. Right? That's why cold emailing is a lot more quicker and more effective in terms of scalability. But again, both work. But at the end of the day, the whole goal is just to get a meeting with a potential customer who is interested so you can sell your products and services. Sometimes you want to do a combination of both cold emailing, cold calling, and maybe LinkedIn too, right? So for example, you might first day add them on LinkedIn. Next day, send them a cold email. Next day, if they don't respond, give them a cold call. Next day, if they don't respond to the cold call, send them a LinkedIn message. And then, over the course of a few weeks, you might hit them up every couple of times so that you have multiple touch points for a single account. Now, this strategy works really well if you're selling into larger companies and you really want to break into the account and start a relationship. But if you're selling, let's say, to small, medium businesses and you don't really care who you work with, well, you need more volume, and that's why if you just do purely cold email and talk to people who, agree to that meeting, well, it's gonna be a lot faster in terms of scalability. So it really depends on the strategy your company has set in terms of who they want to go after and what approach. Do they want the high volume approach and just go for scale, and they want to sell to everybody? Or do they want to focus on large accounts and really have high touch point and premium customer service in terms of how salespeople deal with their executives? So it really depends on how your company handles things. So with that said, that's basically cold emailing, how it works, and how you can use it to get meetings with your dream clients. If you want to learn more about cold emailing, make sure to check out my other cold email videos where I go more in depth on templates, subject lines and things like that. So make sure to check those out. So with that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.